just wanted to give a little tip or a few tips here on using adaptive cruise control. I know it's a new technology and really hasn't gone that far, not many people have it, and it's not really something that anyone really widely knows about, but it's becoming a growing feature that a lot of cars are getting. We're seeing a lot of cars, a lot of the cheaper cars now actually have it, like Camrys, which I've never imagined I would see adaptive cruise in a Camry, but I have, and it's insane. So I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about how I do my adaptive cruise, and then maybe this will help you guys out. So in this particular car, this is a Chrysler 300 2015 model, and it has these buttons here on the steering wheel which let you set your gap between 1 and 4 bars. And if you're like me, you like to follow closely, you like to get up there and whatever, and so you usually put it on the first bar, and that's fine if that's what you do. But I've found that on the first bar the car is trying too hard to stay close, but it is programmed not to get close. So you'll see it accelerate rapidly and brake extremely hard for no reason because it's approaching a car. So we're going to approach this car here, and you can watch my speed. Hopefully you can see it because my lights are on, so it's dimmed right now. But I'm going 70, and I've got my distance set to 2. 2 gives you enough buffer so that the car doesn't brake. So as you can see, we're slowly slowing down. It is applying the brakes, but it's nothing major. It's not slamming on the brakes or anything like that. And now we're down to 60 and we're following this car. And I don't have the ability to signal right now to get over, but whenever I have that ability, I'll do it. The car will speed back up. So anything between 2 and 4 on the gap is going to give you a more comfortable ride. One, I don't know, maybe it's just this car in particular. I've not really tried it on any other cars, but so I'll signal and up to speed we'll go. And as you can see, yeah, it really stepped on it there a little bit, but it's just getting back up to speed. It's not like flooring it or anything like that. I find that when you're in the first just 1 bar of gap, it's way too aggressive, way too much for me. And sometimes I'll do it because, especially if I'm riding this left lane, going around a lot of traffic, I will leave it on 1 just because cars behind me are like, why is he so far back? And then they go around you on the right, and it's like, dude, we're all going the same place at the same speed, But anyway, sometimes I'll put it on 1 just for that. But when I'm riding this right lane, only going left to pass and mostly staying in the right lane, I leave it on 2, sometimes 3. And if I'm approaching really slow traffic, I'll bump it up to 4 just so that it has extra room to brake. I've not had any issues with it not being able to brake. It did, the car itself, whenever it has adaptive cruise, it only allows so much braking power. When you hit the extent of that braking power, then it sends off like a brake warning on your screen here. It sets off an alarm and everything else, and it pre-charges the brakes. So as soon as you hit the brake pedal, it full force brakes. That's only really in emergency situations where they're just completely stopped in front of you and the car can't bring the car to a complete stop before hitting them, in which case when you step in, it's just fine. So I did have one incident like that last week. I was on interstate doing about 70. I come up on stopped traffic, and the car seen them before I did, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention or what was happening, but when I noticed that we were stopping, we were already stopped. So and that really depends on what your car has as far as features, because once it trips that forward collision warning, even if you don't brake, it will begin to brake harder. It's just the adaptive cruise doesn't have the ability to brake harder. So, and here we go again. I'll let it slow down behind this one without getting over just yet. But we're now at 70, approaching some cars. I do have it on the second gap. So actually, let me just bump it up to the first gap. So now we're moving closer to the first gap, and the problem when the car notices that I'm coming up on a slow car, it brakes way too hard, and I don't think it's going to actually do it now because this car isn't going much slower than I am. Looks like they're going about 68, and I'm going, well, I was going 70. So that's mainly if they're 5 or under what you're going, that's where you start to see the issue. So, actually, we're up to speed again. So, I don't know what happened there. So, I'm going to back it back out to my number 2 setting. And you can go all the way back. Let's go to 4 just to kind of see if you can notice the gap. So, now we're at 4. It's really backing off right now. We come down to 63 miles per hour there just to start backing off, which is pretty insane. But this is the 4th gap right here. So that's the most distance you can put between your car and another car when using adaptive cruise. Honestly, that's a lot of distance. I'm going to say that's like a semi-truck length. Semi-truck length. Yeah. 2 is where I'm comfortable. And actually, we can bump our cruise up a little bit here because the speed limit did rise while I was talking. So that's my suggestion on how to use adaptive cruise. Another thing that I like to do, because the car is going to slow down and speed up accordingly. I have my cruise set to 74 now, and I'm behind this guy who is clearly not doing 74, but he just got over. So what I like to do is I like to follow the car in the left lane until I'm to my speed. Because even though it may seem like, you're just casually Sunday driving behind somebody, you have to keep an eye on your speed. You have to see, am I comfortable with what I'm doing? Because, we may only be doing 68 and I've got my cruise set to 74, so obviously I want to go faster. But it doesn't seem like it's a big deal because it's on adaptive cruise. You may not even notice you're not going faster. So you have to keep attention to that, because when the car in front of you starts to pull away, then you need to move to the right lane. That's kind of how you should be driving anyway, but with adaptive cruise, it's easier to space out and forget about what you're doing exactly. So it's important to stay on to that speed and what exactly you're wanting to do versus what the car in front of you is doing. So anyway, that's my easy little tips and tricks for using adaptive cruise control. If you don't want to slow down, do like that, what I just did. Give yourself enough distance and move over. If you don't want the car to slow down when you're approaching a slow car, just go ahead and move over, because it's going to slow down if you get close enough. And then now you've lost your momentum, you're using more gas. So, best practice, move over early. Anyway, that's that. If you guys have any questions or comments about adaptive cruise, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Anything you want to see, I might be able to show you guys. I'd be glad to make some more videos. Like this car here in the left lane, we're now slowing down to 70. This is one of the rare cases where I think going to the right lane wouldn't be a bad idea to go around him. I know that's illegal in some countries. It is not here. Although you're not supposed to do it, it's not illegal. So, all right, guys. Well, I'll see you later.